if we have a respectful relationship and collaboration that's built on trust, we're talking to the influencers in that organization. We're not relying on someone in procurement or another division to do our job and sell to the powers that be. And we're controlling some of those controllables. We're on the journey together. And there's got to be that level of accountability on both sides, because believe me, I want to be held accountable too to hitting these milestones, because that's what it's all about. You're right. You've got to make sure the right people are engaged, that you understand what their process looks like. Like, okay, does this go in front of your board? Do you need to see something from a legal perspective well in advance? And, the fun thing over time in sales is that if you spend enough time in sales, you have enough successes and times that you've gotten burned in deals slipping, that you can proactively see some of those things in the future. So you be sure to look at those key learnings and you reach out. I think reach out to other people, colleagues. I've learned so much from a best practices perspective by picking the brains of colleagues around, okay, this is the situation that I've got with this deal. How would you approach this? Getting some fresh eyes. And, I love, there's nothing more that I love than just sitting down with some colleagues and, just brainstorming about different ways to approach a deal. They've got a blocker here. I've got a blocker here. Have you tried this? This is something that I leveraged that got me some success. So build some mind share too, because the blocker that you're facing is likely one that somebody else has faced. And far too often, we look at it, Brandon, and we're like, they're giving me pushback on this, or I can't get past this objection, or they're pushing back on price. The key is if you understand the parameters well enough, you can see a lot of the objections before they even happen, and you can proactively take steps to prevent some of those objections from ever taking place. But that's all part of the foundation, and that's all part of your 5 Ps. Control the controllables, get to the heart of those 5 Ps.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I love that, and I love what you said. There's a couple things you said there that I absolutely love. One is that the numbers are really a retrospect of the activity that took place in the quarter before revealing them, right? So that's one thing I always think is kind of funny about QBRs, right? We all have those typically, right? QBRs, and we put so much focus on the numbers. What are we going to do? What do the numbers look like? And that's all great. Like you said, we got to have things to measure against, and it's kind of a scorecard. But the numbers at the end of the day are really a result of all the activities that we put into the place leading up to those numbers, right? So I think something that I tried to do more when I was a sales engineer leader, and even now is try to spend more time with the teams earlier in the sales process, right? We have this sort of propensity, I think a lot of times in leadership of, once deals start getting real, like close to the end of the sales cycle, that we're going to parachute in and help bring the deal home. Well, where we really need you sales leaders is on the front end of the sale, right? Because the deals are won or lost generally in the front end of the sales process, right? So we need your creativity, some of your ideas, and helping to hold us accountable as individual sellers. Have we asked these questions, right? Do we have answers to the 5 Ps, right? Do we know all these things? So I think that's an important thing that we probably need to spend more time on. And I also love what you were talking about there, Carson, when you were talking about collaborating with the customer, and I could not agree more. We try to treat this almost as an us versus them, right? Like the customer's the prey and we're the predator, and we're trying to land them or bag the deal or whatever. But that is so old school, right? So old world selling mentality, and it really should be a collaboration. And if we are truly going into the sales process and with our interaction with our customer like we should, and that is, we're there to serve them, to be a partner, right? Everything we do should be out of service, right? And that's our reward is the sale, is our paycheck, is our commission check at the end, right? But that only comes by serving others first, right? And nothing that happens at the end of the sales process should really be that big of a surprise, because if we were involving our customer from the very beginning to helping us identify key business objectives, timelines, and their fingerprints are all over the proposal, and they helped us develop that. Then when it comes to selling that up to their leadership to get funding, they're very confident and they're on board, right? We're not trying to strong arm them and to convince their management to go our way, because they were part of the process.
My gosh, yes. You've got me all fired up, Brandon. Like I've been in one call close environments, right? I mean, I get that mentality, but I've had the most success of my career in team selling, collaborative environments where it was customer obsession, all about customer obsession and bringing them along for the journey. And frankly, deal transparency. I benefit when I've got a relationship with a client where they care how I get paid, and I care what looks like a win to them. Like, how do I deliver you at budget or a slight uptick? These are the levers that I can pull on your behalf. These are the resources that I can bring to bear. Let's help each other win. Like, I want to sit across from those folks in the negotiation table and say, look, what is a win for you in all of this? So, and I loved what you said too about sales leaders. They're not the closer. Like, don't cue the music and bring them out of the bullpen to like fire the final pitches. That's not how it works. Sales leaders exist to remove blockers, provide guidance, and make sure, to your point, that we've got the controllables covered. Because look, as good as I feel I am sometimes, getting separate sets of eyes on the scenario makes us all better. I can paint a few strokes of the masterpiece, right? Mine are probably going to look more like stick figures, but it becomes the masterpiece when everybody contributes and really adds value there. Coaches call the play. And I think what we got to realize too, the theme of this today has been around people, process, and consistency. We've got to call the play. And we've got to play the play, execute the play. Don't stop, just because something isn't going as we intended, or you see that the defense is lined up against you to take you out. You don't just stand still and drop the ball. You've got to play the play and learn from it, pivot from it, and then maybe you play a new play based on how the game is going. But, as a seller, you've got to adhere to the process, make tweaks to the process, and evolve the process. Obviously, we've all evolved our process in light of a pandemic, but you look at the playing field, the parameters in place, the resources and tools at your disposal, and you put the customer at the heart of everything that you're doing, and you can't lose.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for sellers, right, oftentimes we're intimidated, or maybe we feel that we're deficient, or maybe our leadership will see us as deficient if we ask for help. Right? If we feel like we almost have to control the whole deal, cradle to grave. Well, I'm sorry, but if you lose the deal, right, you're not going to be getting any high fives from leadership for losing the deal alone, right? So, we have to change that mindset, right, as individual sellers. It doesn't mean that you're deficient or you don't know what you're doing if you ask for help. But a lot of times when we're in the thick of a deal, especially a big complex technical deal, it can become difficult to see the forest, through the trees, right? So getting that outside perspective, to your point earlier, right? Doing team selling, bouncing ideas off of each other. It's just a great exercise to do, right? I mean, we all learn, we all get better by doing that.
Yeah, because believe me, if you lose the deal and you didn't raise the flag or get other people in the boat with you, you went down alone. And that's the last thing you want. Like, get the other perspectives into the boat with you. And even if you've lost some of those deals, some of my greatest learnings have come from deals that were lost. And you better believe that I took those learnings into the next deals that I did, to really understand, like we were talking about earlier, from a proactivity perspective, what are all of the things that I need to make sure are mapped out from a milestone standpoint, so there's no gotcha or aha moments. I want to make sure that I'm as proactive as I can to put these things in place. It helps me ask the right questions when I'm meeting with clients, but also bringing all these other folks into the boat, and in the theme of what we've talked about, making sure that what looks like a win to all of those folks is what's going to foster better team collaboration and ensure success for everybody, customers, the company, and ourselves.